Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. I have been to the library and I want to share with you some of the library books that I have taken out. So, the first one that I want to share with you guys is The Life Impossible by Matt Haig. Matt Haig is one of my favorite authors. If you've been here for a while, you know that he's just one of those authors. If I see his book, I'm gonna pick it up. So he likes to ask really big questions, like what happens after this phase of life, and he explores possible answers through these quests that his characters go on. He does that in the Midnight Library, and he also does that in a book he wrote called How to Stop Time, because I really do think that it deserves like some talking about. I really enjoyed that. Like, I'd read that again for a book club, or just, just to go back and see if there's anything in it that I missed that kind of will like spark interest or more like mental conversation. So this one, The Life Impossible. So this one reads a little different than the Midnight Library and also How to Stop Time. And I think maybe that's the reason why I'm hesitant to read it. So this woman, the main character in here, Grace Winters, is going to go on a little personal adventure. As a matter of fact, she's getting away, and it kind of explores what happens. Like, she finds herself in a situation. I don't know what it is yet because I haven't given myself over to the book yet. So more on that after I've read it. The next book that I picked up is The Lotus Shoes. The Lotus Shoes by Jane Wang. And I got this book because it just reminded me of a television show that I was watching on Prime. It is called the Yangji Palace. And I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but it's a historical Chinese drama. I grew up watching kung fu movies with my dad, and a host of, like, I guess what would now we would call anime. And watching historical Chinese dramas kind of just reminds me of time spent with my dad. I feel like these are the kind of shows that he would watch now if he were still with us. Anyway, I don't know how he got into the conversation, but he shared a lot of good wisdom with me, and there's a lot that we can learn from watching historical dramas and also reading historical fiction. There's so much to be learned, right? So anyway, there's a specific character in this book, and she uses an example of the lotus shoes. Now, I don't know if this is the same one. I guess I'm going to find out when I finally sit down to read this one. But if you go and you watch the first episode, and I recommend that you go and watch the first episode of this series. It's called the Yangji Palace, and it's about this young woman. I think her name is Wei Yu. I'm gonna mess up her name, but her first name is Wei, and she's in the palace because she's trying to find out what happened to her late sister. She knows that she was murdered, and she's trying to get more information about what happened. So she enters into the palace under the guise of being a maid in the Forbidden City. And she is very protective over those that she really, really cares about. And she's very savvy, she's very smart, and she has a lot of knowledge. And it was really important for like young maids and young women at that time to have like historical knowledge, especially if you were going to find yourself somewhere in the king's court. So it will work to your advantage. So she used every bit of knowledge that she had to her advantage. And one of the maids that she was, working with made a very clumsy mistake that ruined a dress of one of the girls that was going to be presented before the emperor to be a possible concubine. Lineage is very important in that part of the world, like going back many, many generations and being able to name what house and what family you're from. And her friend messes up the gown, and oh my gosh, if you're into fashion or costume design, you're going to want to watch this too, because the dresses are amazing. The robes that these men are wearing are amazing, but I digress. So she ruins this girl's dress, and she's mad. Now, because everyone has their station, depending on what station, and I mean like station or position in life, depending on what station you are within the Forbidden City, you have like the authority to severe punishment. And so she was trying to do that to this this young lady who just made a very, very innocent mistake. And so I think Wei Yu, it's a long name. And when I watch it again, I'm going to be like, you know what? You could have been saying that girl's name the correct way this whole time. But Wei comes to the rescue and she tells this really mean possible concubine. She's not even a concubine yet, but she taught with, and the meaning that you have in your mind for concubine and the meaning that it has when you watch the show is going to be totally different. But she tells a story about this woman who had grabbed the attention of the emperor because she was a very like beautiful, like sensual woman, right? And whenever she walked, she would leave these lotus flowers behind. So she went into like her sash and she pulled out this like red powder and she packed it underneath the girl's shoe because she noticed that underneath the girl's shoe, she had little indents of a lotus. It was just a design. So she told her that if she wanted to gain favor with the emperor, that she would take this powder and press it under the soles of her feet, so that every time she walked, she would leave behind lotus flowers. Sounds like a beautiful story. Anyway, she goes before the king, or the emperor in this case, and he finds her very beautiful, someone worthy of being one of his concubines, moving her way up the rank, his empress, and also his like high-ranking concubine. And they agree that, this young lady is very beautiful. She has a place here. When the emperor notices that she's leaving behind these red lotus imprints on the rug, he's like, wait, because in the beginning, she's in there. She's going to be in the court and she can't wait. And she's going to be living a life of leisure and luxury. And he is outraged. And he asks her, what is the meaning of this? And he tells her. Well, she tells him, well, the story of the lotus flowers is about a woman who gained favor with the emperor. He tells her, no, that's not. This is a story about a woman of the world who dishonored the emperor. And it was just a big controversy. And he was so offended that he not only punished her, but he punished her family. He was like, and not just her family, like he punished like generations of her family. And they could no longer enter into the court. They could no longer even enter into the Forbidden City. And you just have to watch it for yourself. Because Wei has a way with words where she is able to find herself out of the most precarious situations. I suggest that if you are into historical dramas, even if you're not, like, I feel like because of the subject matter, you'll find it very interesting. So that is the whole reason why I got this book. It was because I like historical Chinese dramas. And there's like 1,000 episodes, so you don't get bored quickly. Like, the only thing is you're doing a little extra reading. So, moving right along. So the next book that I ended up getting is The Husbands. So this one is by Chandler Baker, and it's a little different, right? So I read into this just a little bit, but one of the reasons why I got this is because this is the same title as a book that I read earlier called The Husbands by Holly Gramazio. So if you saw that video, you know that book is about a single woman who comes home from a night of fun with her friends to find herself married, where she was never married before. And she keeps exchanging husbands. Every time a husband goes up into the attic, he comes down a new husband. And if she's dissatisfied or doesn't like this husband for any reason, She trades him in for a new husband. Hey, babe, can you go to the attic and, get those wedding pictures or get that blanket that you know that I like? Please? And then he does it. And then he comes down a new husband. And this is a cycle that repeats until she figures out what is truly best for her. This one is very, very different. This one, I believe she's a professional. And she works full time. Then she comes home and she does her second shift, right? And her second shift is like taking care of the family, cooking dinners, preparing the meals, making sure the home is clean, the dishes are done, the clothes are washed, making sure the kids go to their practices, making sure the homework is done, putting them to bed, getting them up for work in the school in the morning so that you can get to work on time. Like, that's the kind of relationship that they have. The husband, very successful professional as well in the corporate world. So they both have these corporate jobs, and she comes home, she takes care of the kids. She's tired. Okay. She doesn't know how she's surviving, but she's doing it. Eventually, they move and they go to another town. And she finds that the women in this town are doing very similar things that she's doing, but they're not burnt out. They're doing their work and they found a way to have their husbands do it too, but there's some sort of secret, some sort of system that the wives have going on, some sort of control that they have over their husbands. But it seems like she has a secret of her own that she is trying to maintain, but she can't do it without being a part of this crazy system that the other wives are in. And we don't quite know what it is. So that's what this one is about, the husbands. And I got it because I just thought it would be like a fun idea to read this one and compare it to the last one I read. And then also make this thing that, I just keep taking out books or finding books with the same title. So that's why I got that one. So moving right along. So the last book that I got from the library is This Close to Okay. And this one is by Lisa Cross Smith, and I got this one because I like the cover. So I did that thing where you judge a book by its cover. I know you're not supposed to do that, but I thought it looked interesting, and so I got it. And so I, started reading the synopsis, and I was like, you know what? I'll get it. I'll read it because it sounds crazy. So it's a woman. She's a psychologist, and she's, driving home on the highway, and she passes over a bridge. And as she passes over the bridge, she sees a man that's getting ready to jump over the bridge. So she pulls over. She goes over to the guy, and she convinces him to have a cup of coffee with her instead of jumping off the bridge. So he decides, okay, I'll do it. I'll join you for a cup of coffee. Whew. So they go out to coffee, and after enjoying their company, she decides that she's going to date him. And after I read that, I was just like, I have to read it because I don't see myself as a professional, as a psychologist. I'm not a psychologist, but if I was a psychologist, I don't know if I would have a mind to want to date someone who could be also my patient. Someone that you have to constantly talk off a cliff. Do you want to do that as a professional? Do you want your professional and your personal life to blend in together? I don't know. See you guys soon. Thanks for watching.